Denton Community Television, operated by the Mayborn School of Journalism, the University of North Texas.
Follow your dreams. Hi, everybody, and welcome to The Other Side. My name is Mike Miller, and I'm very honored today to have Donny Ray Ford. Donny Ray, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we were just talking before we started rolling about songwriting, and Donny Ray's got a big stack of notebooks here. He's been writing songs for a long time, and it just kind of all runs together, I guess, after a while, some of the earlier stuff you were working on, and then as you revamp and begin writing and releasing songs and CDs and stuff over the years. But
yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's fun to go back and go into the storeroom, or sometimes I'll just be looking for one thing and I'll find an old notebook, and go, wow, this is like 20 years old. Let's see what was happening with me back then.
Yeah, how you felt, yeah, what you thought.
Some of it's funny, some of it's sad, but it's always interesting.
Yeah. So you got started kind of early as a kid, I guess, playing music.
Yeah, pretty much. I was about 14 when I started, really playing music, and I had a friend whose older brother was a singer in a rock and roll band back in the early 70s called the Werewolves.
Oh, really?
And they were kind of like a Texas Rolling Stones. They were the butt-kickingest rockers I'd ever heard, but
really?
but they were real influenced with country music.
Yeah.
Great songwriters. And of course, at the age of 15, 16, they would be playing clubs. They were all 10 years older than us and would sneak us into the clubs. So that kind of started me down the path of destruction.
Yeah.
But they were great guys, and one of them died in 1980. They actually did 2 records on RCA that really never did very well. But the lead guitar player's name was Steve Metter, and he passed in 1980. And the bass player was Bucky Ballard, who kind of pretty much taught me how to play.
Oh, really?
He died in 85. And the singer and the rhythm guitar player and the drummer all moved up to New York and stayed there, and they still get together and play, and they're still killers.
That's great.
Yeah, but those guys are what introduced me to songwriting. And when another thing that got me really into country music was I got a job at, I guess I was 14 washing dishes at a restaurant on Lover's Lane in Dallas. And the owner and his wife are always playing Hank Williams and Bob Wills and George Jones. And
yeah.
A lot of those songs I heard, I go, I know I've heard those songs a million times, like traveling. I was born in Midland, and my mother's folks lived in Brownfield, Texas, which is probably 3 or 4 hours from Midland.
Yeah.
And my dad had kin in Bowie, Texas.
Really?
And so all those songs would be what was on the radio in the early 60s when I was sleeping, and so they all rang a bell, especially the Hank Williams songs.
Yeah.
And I was a bass player at the time, and we never could find a singer. Well, I found myself singing along with these Hank Williams songs, and come to find out I could sing just like Hank Williams.
Yeah.
Yodeling and all that stuff, and so
George Jones.
And George
you
Jones,
could sing just like George
and finally
Jones.
I said, well, hell, I'll be the singer, And so then we went on. The first band that I had that played out was a band called the Silver Spurs, and that was myself on bass and Mike Brown on guitar, and Ron Gully, who's like my lifelong friend. We've played music together since we were both 15 years old.
That's great.
And it was a 3-piece kind of rockabilly band, and we'd play. This was like in the 70s, and the first real gigs we did were like 78, 79, 80.
Yeah.
And when you're young like that, of course, it's a blast. And you don't really know what you're in store for if you're going to dedicate your life to this. But
so what are you in store for?
Oh, it's not easy, It's there's a lot of things there's a lot of ways you can save yourself a lot of trouble if you're smart enough to listen to older guys.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't. But, you know, there's, of course, everybody has in life things that they would change in their past. And
Yeah.
I'm no different. But all in all, it's been a passion I've had since I was a child. You know? And I love it. You know, I've never made a lot of money at it, but I love to write and I love to perform. And, it's driven me insane and kept me sane for years all at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Met a lot of people that I really love. Ron, my drummer, we still make music together all these years later, and he's like my brother, man. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. And likewise, you know.
Now, you put out a CD about a year ago, were you saying?
Yeah, about
that?
a year ago. I'd worked on it for 2 or 3 years because I work in the film industry, so when I get on a shoot, well, you work 80 hours a week, so you don't have really much time to do anything else. But in between, you know, we'd get 2 or 3 months off, I'd go work on this CD, and I finally finished it and kind of did a small release about a year ago. I haven't really done a big major release with it. But I want to do that properly, but also I come across a CD that I recorded in, let's see, it was 1989, I'm pretty sure. It was 87 or 89. But I had a great bunch of musicians with me, and the songs were all there, and I hadn't heard it in 20 years. And a friend of mine, well, actually I released it on a cassette tape.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I didn't do CDs. I think they had them back then, but I didn't do it on one. And I ran across it, and I want to re-release that. And then I have another CD that I never released that I recorded that I want to finally release it. So I got a lot of stuff I'd like to put out there, you know.
Yeah, and there's various bands you've worked with
over the years. Yeah, like I said, the first real band that played out was called the Silver Spurs, and then I played bass for other different bands. One was called Tex and the Saddle Tramps. Another one was with a guitar player named Mark Pollock and a singer named Ted Roddy called Teddy and the Tall Tops. And
oh, really?
We played out a lot, and then Teddy and I moved to Austin and kind of went our separate ways there. And I lived there for about a year and really struggled, but played a lot and did okay that way. But, you know, anybody that's done this for a long time knows that, you know, when you're on that lower level, you can't make a living, you know. You always have to do some other kind of work, you know.
Oh, yeah, because you have to play so many free gigs and stuff like
and,
that.
you know, we'll pay you in beer.
Yeah.
Free beer. You know. Of course, you know, when you're 22 years old, free beer sounds okay. You know, when you're 40 or 30 or when you kind of grow up a little bit, you're like, you know, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
You know.
The landlord doesn't want that either.
No, you know. I mean, if I want beer, I'll go buy it.
You have to really have a passion and just a strong creative drive. And
and it's got to be a labor of love. You know, if it's not, you don't need to be doing it. You know, it's incredible the amount of luck that it takes to make it in the music business or acting or anything like that. It's more often than not, as the old saying goes, it's not how good you are, it's who you know. And if you get some lucky breaks and you're smart enough to take advantage of them and not screw them up.
Yeah.
You know.
You've seen so many people over the years appear on CMT, another new artist.
And then, you know, you never see them again. You know, and, you know, I mean, I have my opinions like everyone else, and a lot of the stuff, you know, from the 80s on, probably even the 70s on, I don't know, but especially the 80s on stuff, it's just, I don't consider it to be real country music, you know, it's like these guys who call themselves country music, but they want to be rock and roll artists, but they put a fiddle in there and call it country music.
Yeah.
Well, you know, country music is Hank Sr., Buck Owens, George Jones, Johnny Cash. That's what country music is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not... I don't want to name any names, but...
Well, what did you think of some of that later stuff that Johnny Cash released?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know, it just showed you the depth of that man and how truly brilliant and scary he was.
Yeah.
You know, just great, man. And, you know, I'd heard that, I read on the internet that George Jones said he's going to do his last tour this year, which of course is sad. But, you know, God, he's 80-something years old, you know. I went and saw him about 3 years ago over at, I guess it's the Nokia Theater. I don't know, they change names to those places all the time. But for the first time, and I had been going to see him since the 70s.
Yeah.
First time I'd ever seen him when he came out on the stage and he didn't have his guitar.
Really?
And he sang the whole show and he didn't have his guitar. And he was so cool the way he bebopped. And first time I saw him, I was about probably 17 or 18, you know, and I'd seen the Rolling Stones and Alice Cooper and all this stuff, you know, and he blew my mind. I mean, he was bebopping and banging that guitar and singing, and he was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen him at
And I
Billy
looked, I went, that's what I want to do. You know? Well, when I saw him, you know, at this show 3 years ago and he didn't have his guitar, I went, what's going on, you know? And you could tell how uncomfortable he was because he did not know what to do with his hands. Yeah. And it would just radiated, you know, that he didn't like it, but he made a little excuse and said, you know, my band says my strumming's throwing them off, so they won't let me play my guitar anymore. And I thought, well, you're George Jones. Tell them guys, hell, I'm playing my guitar. I don't care what you say, you know, because it hurt me because I could see that he was uncomfortable, and it made everybody there, you know, uncomfortable. Yeah. But he still was George Jones, you know, and you could tell he had aged. It was his voice wasn't quite what it used to be. The faster up-tempo stuff he kind of had a hard time with, but the slower, like He Stopped Loving Her Today and things like that, it just raised the hair on the back of your neck.
Yeah, that song was just written for him, I guess.
You know, those slower, you know, I'll Share My World With You and all those older, slower ones were just, he didn't miss a lick on any of that stuff, you know, that was always my favorite stuff anyway. You know?
You do several of his songs at your shows.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I always do some George songs, you know, just because I love him so much. But, you know, back to songwriting and stuff, again, the band The Werewolves was one of the only local bands that wrote 90% of their own stuff, and the songs they chose that weren't theirs were Chuck Berry, you know, and Little Richard, and you know, back then the big thing was you know, Foghat and all these kind of, you know, southern hippie bands. Well, these guys look like pirates, you know.
Oh, really?
They were like their hair was all real wild, and the guitar player he looked like Keith Richards, you know. They were just the coolest thing you'd ever seen, you know. But they wrote their own material, and it was butt-kicking, you know. And that's, again, when I thought, well, if you're going to do this, you got to do your own, you got to be the creator of it.
Yeah, original songs.
And then I kind of mixed my love of them, the Rolling Stones, with Hank Williams Sr. and George Jones. So, like, a lot of my bands were like the Stones of the 70s with George Jones singing for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of it was really cool. Some of it, you know, sucked. But you know, I was learning. You know,
they must be successful. They had one of the biggest concerts in the world in Brazil.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love those guys. You know, what I love about them is you see all these, you know, like Kenny Rogers and even George Jones getting these facelifts, and George Jones and Kenny Rogers look like they went to the same guy.
Really?
Because they both look exactly alike now, and he must have gone to the same doctor that Kenny Rogers did, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
But you look at the Stones, none of them have ever had any work done.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah,
you know?
just let it happen.
And to me, they're still the coolest guys, especially Keith Richards. Just great guy.
And supposedly his wife doesn't drink or do anything whatsoever.
Yeah, well, good for him.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I've always loved them, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Exile on Main Street, greatest rock and roll record ever recorded.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, that's a good album for sure.
You know, and then there's a few other rockers that I really like. I mean, I thought Steve Earle and his early stuff was just great.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever met him?
Never met him, but I respect the hell out of his music. Some of his politics I probably wouldn't agree with him on, but.
Have you ever been to Nashville and tried
I went and played there once. I went with a band called Killbilly, and they backed me up, and I opened for them.
Yeah.
That was in about probably 85 or 86.
But did you ever really try to get a record contract through
No,
Nashville?
I never went there and stayed and tried to go through those motions. You know, I'd heard all the horror stories about it, and I thought, well, I'm going to try and do it in Texas. You know?
Yeah.
This is where I'm from.
Yeah.
You know.
But we just don't have the record companies over here like they have.
That's true, you know. And of course, that might have been something that if I could do over again, I might do differently, you know.
Yeah.
At least give it a shot, you know. But,
Yeah.
But, you know, it seems like when all the new stuff was coming out, you know, well, I was doing the old stuff, you know, before Dwight Yoakam came out. So
Yeah.
Dwight Yoakam comes out, I think, great. He's, you know, that's what I've been doing ever since I've been doing this. Mm-hmm. And that, I hoped, would spark a big resurgence in the appreciation of real, old, classic,
style country.
honky-tonk country music.
Yeah, honky-tonk country, yeah.
And it did to a point, but then you had these other acts coming out that were all Nashville'd up and electrified and just ruined it, you know?
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks, worst thing that ever happened to country music.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I can't stand the guy. I've watched some of his parts of some of his shows, and he's just such a hack. It's like, how did this no talent, you know, he'd fly to the stage.
Yeah.
Country singers don't fly.
No.
And then that thing where he'd lay and let the audience carry him around. I mean, whoa, this is not, this is an embarrassment.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, you know, if the big radio stations push something, it doesn't matter how bad it is, it'll be huge, you know?
Yeah, when they have that national exposure like that.
Everyone, oh, he's country, you know, I love country music, and people would say that never listened to a country record in their life and still didn't know what country music was after listening to that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to talk more, and there's lots we could talk about, but I want to get you to play some songs for everybody. And
that would be my pleasure.
And so y'all stay tuned, and let's let Donny Ray play some songs for us. And thanks for checking us out and let people know about the show, and we appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Donny Ray Ford, and this is a song called Old Hardwood Floor. Lord God, forgive me, I've lived by the gun. It cost me my darling, my precious one. The ring that I gave her, she wears it no more. It fell through the cracks of an old hardwood floor, an old hardwood floor. The Lord, He giveth, I taketh away. May I be forgiven come Judgment Day. Lord God, forgive me for what I have wrought. The pain and the miseries to my darling I brought. The ring that I gave her, she wears it no more. It fell through the cracks of an old hardwood floor, an old hardwood floor. If I could but measure a pound for grain, all the false pleasure that caused so much pain.
I'd give all of my life to take back the years. To step from the saddle on this trail of tears. The ring that I gave her, she wears it no more. It fell through the cracks of an old hardwood floor. Alrighty. Let's see here. Here's another one of mine. This one's another kind of spiritual song for you. Got a lot of making up to do. This is called Sacred Ground. Smoke from this altar built to kneel and pray. I pray I may not falter, but rise and meet the day. In a dry and thirsty land, I have lost my way. I try to understand, not cast about in vain. Sacred ground is yet I have not found. I seek the safe, the sound. Sacred ground, sacred ground. From the bosom of the earth, from the moment of my birth, I've sought my destiny, as yet unrevealed to me. And from a boy unto a man, in an unforgiven land, before my days are through, I yearn to speak with you. Sacred ground is yet I have not found. I seek the safe, the sound. Sacred ground, sacred ground. Now as the blossom unfolds its wings, oh, what beautiful things, gives its nectar to the bee, a designated destiny. And as the sky begins to cry, and the land be not so dry, I'm thankful for the rain. May it wash away the pain. Sacred ground is yet I have not found. I seek the safe, the sound. Sacred ground, sacred ground is yet I have not found. I seek the safe the sound. Sacred ground, sacred ground, sacred ground, sacred ground. May we all walk sacred ground one day. Alrighty, I'm gonna do another one here. See, I wrote this in 2004. Got a little old gal I gave my heart to, and she had a problem. And I wasn't it. Anyway, this is called Poor Little Thing with a Monkey on Her Back. Poor little thing with a monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and a smoking that crack. She couldn't be seen with a guy like me. She wasn't quite ready to be set free. I could see through the smoke, I could see through the lies. It ain't no joke, it brought tears to my eyes. Oh, the poor little thing with the monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and a smoking that crack. But I'll never give up, I'll never turn her away. She always comes up when I kneel and pray, and I may catch hell for a feeling like that. But I love the little thing with the monkey on her back. Poor little thing with the monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and a smoking that crack. She couldn't be seen with a guy like me. She wasn't quite ready to be set free. Poor little thing with the monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and a smoking that crack. I pray someday she'll see the light every day with all of my mind. And if she don't make it, if she falls to the lie, it'll hurt my heart till the day I die. Poor little thing with a monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and a smoking that crack. But I'll never give up, I'll never turn her away. She always comes up when I kneel and pray, and I may catch hell for a feeling like that. But I love the little thing with the monkey on her back. Poor little thing with the monkey on her back, snorting cocaine and I'm smoking that crack. She couldn't be seen with a guy like me. She wasn't quite ready to be set free. But I'll be right there if she ever needs me. Poor little thing. Thank you, everybody.
And they tell me, follow your dreams. And they say, do what you want.